our structures in the two provinces of Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. This follows an instruction by the National Executive Committee for the National Working Committee to undertake visits to these two provinces to do a thorough assessment of the state of organization, the state of governance, and the state of service delivery, those particular three priority areas that were being investigated, in order to identify what are the factors that contribute to waning popular support for the ANC nationally. But the decision was to prioritize these two provinces, and of course also taking into account the electoral outcomes. I must say it was just not the electoral outcomes, but also other matters that needed to be considered, whether we have a strong political strategy to sustain the work of the ANC, whether we've got functional branches and regions, and the overall organizational health in those two provinces. Day two, their meeting is still in session, and at the correct point, the NEC will come to a conclusion, which is hopefully today. And at that point, once that is summarized, we will be in a position to take members of the media into confidence. May I take questions?
Sis Mashengi, it's a tough discussion that the ANC is having. How is the mood in there in terms of the NEC members that have addressed the gathering? Is it cordial? Is it heated? Anything that you can say about that?
I think there is quite a robust discussion, friendly, characterized though by a lot of collegiality. I'm sure you would have seen NEC members that may hold to different positions, traveling together, continuing the discussions even during lunch. And I think that's a healthy sign and that is indicative of an organization that is really looking outward in terms of addressing the trust deficit that currently exists between the ANC and the people of South Africa. Have a common appreciation of the challenges that all of us must confront together in a united fashion. So I would say very robust discussions are taking place, and the report of the National Working Committee that was read out by the Secretary General yesterday is still being put under the scalpel, so to speak.
It would seem now there's like two sides are there, those who are for and against, and that would mean that then your options would have been reduced to two also, because of what you just said now, that NEC members who are on opposing sides working together. Is that where we are now?
I wouldn't even call it opposing sides. I think it's different points of emphasis. We haven't had a third option that, as the Secretary General indicated yesterday, that option was no longer an option. There are two options on the table, whether to reinforce the existing structures through a variety of methods and mechanisms, and whether to institute a dissolution of both of the PECs and set up an interim body that would be driven in accordance with the provisions of the ANC constitution. So that is really where we're at.
Thank you. Just in terms of process, what will unfold? Is it still what the Secretary General had said yesterday? Are you going to inform the provincial structures first before the media, or we will be getting an update today from the outcome of the NEC meeting?
We do have an obligation to be loyal to the structures of the organization, the ones that have put us in office. And it's important that they don't read about things in the media. It's the leadership that has to respect structures. It's an important requirement that we need to fulfill. But having said that, we also have an obligation to South Africans to speak about the work we're doing to rebuild the African National Congress, and to do so timelessly. So short answer to it is that yes, that is going to be done in that particular chronology. We will be in a position to give you that update in terms of when are we in a position to sit down with members of the media.
So it's not going to be today?
It won't be today. It's unlikely to be today, given the fact that the meeting is still in session.
Just how crucial is this meeting for the strengthening of the ANC, given the upcoming local government elections in 2022 and to ensure that the branches are strengthened and they're activated as well. The President spoke about this at January 8, saying it's important that you revisit the branches. Just how crucial is this?
Absolutely crucial as we prepare to launch a strong campaign towards the local government elections in 2026. And part of the work that we are doing is to strengthen the organization. Where do you start? You need to make sure that you've got strong structures on the ground. The branch, which is the basic unit of the ANC. It is to ensure that we have solid regions with solid leadership, that a region that has got programs, a region that has got programs in communities, branches that have got programs in communities, regions and branches and provinces that work strongly with sectors and closely with other sectors of society. I am talking here about faith-based communities. I'm talking here about the institution of traditional leadership, particularly as it relates to KwaZulu-Natal. I'm talking here about women in stockfields in the Western Cape. We're talking about people in the fishing communities, farm workers. In the diversity of what South Africa represents in the different sectors that exist, both economic and social sectors. The ANC has always been very strong, has been grounded there. That is what enabled the ANC to be as hegemonic it has been in the last 30 years. We need to get back to that position, and we're not saying we're not there in sections. There are pockets of excellence, but we want that to be the standard rather than an exception. So we are headed to local government elections. We also, for us, that is the most important date that we are working on. The focus is not just going to be on KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. The focus is going to be on all provinces. So look out for the work we're going to be doing in the Western Cape. Look out for the work we're going to be doing in other provinces.
Just last from me, the track record of disbanding, has it yielded any results before in the past when a province is disbanded?
Well, what we do know is that where there have been disbandments, if you look at the results, it's a mixed bag of results. I think that it is always important to address the situation in terms of the merit and facts before us in every situation. The situation that has to do with KwaZulu-Natal, state of the province there, politically, organizationally, and otherwise, and that of Gauteng are different. There may be commonalities, but they're different. What is common, of course, about them is the fact that these are the two largest economies in our country. They contribute significant percentages to our national GDP. They are the most populous. They contribute a lot to the national vote share. It just makes more sense and logic to focus on those. But as I say, we don't have a report that suggests that disbandments have produced a negative trend consistently. Rather, we also don't have a report that suggests that reinforcements have produced either a positive or negative trend. So we've got to be very balanced in terms of how we look at this particular discussion that we're having about the two provinces.
Thank you. Sorry for taking you longer than you intended. You said the option of maintaining the status quo has dropped away. So can you just explain, just give us a bit of reason why this has dropped away?
The option, originally we had what were three options. National officials presented a report to the National Working Committee. The National Working Committee came to a conclusion that the option of not doing anything and keeping these two pieces as in the same way and maintaining the status quo is no longer an option. Why is it no longer an option? It is precisely because there is an acknowledgement that there are serious organizational weaknesses, political weaknesses that have got, and service delivery weaknesses that have got to be tackled, head on. And therefore we had to look at only the two options. That's something that's got to be done in terms of strengthening these two provinces, rebuilding in these two provinces, making sure that the vision of renewal finds concrete and practical expression. That is an agreement by everyone, including this National Executive Committee that is currently sitting.